All right, welcome back to the show. Our Game 2 preview of the Leafs Lightning continues, and now we're bringing in Chris Krenn, Tampa Bay Lightning beat writer, who's in Toronto. Chris, before we get into some of the injuries and what's going on for Game 2, what was your biggest takeaway from Game 1 and that pretty poor performance from the Leafs?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess my first takeaway was the crowd was awesome. It was a really good environment. Like I was here last year for the first round, and it's always a lot of fun watching games up here. I mean, the fans are really passionate. It was really cool during the anthems, and the Canadian national anthem. By the time it's over, you could hardly hear the woman singing. The crowd was so loud, and I get the frustration with the fans booing the team off the ice after one. It's kind of you don't want to boo your team, but also I mean you're down 3-0 and in a really big game, so. Props to the fans. I thought they were really good when the Leafs got that second goal and got back within one. It was just as loud as it was at puck drop. But I guess my biggest takeaway is I was impressed with the Lightning, to be honest. I mean, they struggled the last couple months of the regular season, and there was a lot of conversation on, are they going to be able to flip a switch just like that and start playing really well without kind of having too much momentum going into the postseason. And they found a way to do it. They played really well right from puck drop, obviously. I think jumping on the Leafs, less than 2 minutes into the game is big for any team, right? Especially in a playoff game, try to neutralize the crowd a little bit. But like I said, I mean, the crowd was still really good after that first goal. The environment was really good. And Lightning just had a really strong first period, and we're ready to go. And it's a good game for the Lightning, but I don't count the Leafs out. And, I don't think one game defines a series at all. I mean, you look at the regular season, they're a really good team. I think they're even better than they were last year. So I still think it's going to be a pretty long series, and the Leafs are a really good team. So tonight should be interesting to see what happens.
Victor Hedman left Game 1 with an injury. What's his status for Game 2 as of right now?
Yeah, I'm not sure really what happened there with his injury. I know he had dealt with a back issue a little bit earlier in the year. Cooper said today it was a new injury, so it wasn't related to that. Sounds like he's a true game time decision. Sounds like he's going to take warm up for the Lightning, see how he feels, and then go from there, decide if he can play or not. So can't give you much other than that. I'm really not sure if he's going to be able to go or not. He took morning skate today, and I thought he looked okay, but it's hard to tell.
Tanner Jeannot looks like he might be joining the team for Game 2. If he does, what does he bring to this Lightning team?
Physicality. I mean, when he first came over, I think he struggled a little bit, to be honest, with the Lightning. And it's hard. I think Cooper's always said, since I've covered the team, that you got to give these guys usually about 10 games before you can really judge their play when you acquire a guy at the trade deadline. But before that injury, the past 3 or 4 games, he had started playing really well. He was generating a lot of chances. He got his first goal. So it was a shame to see him go down. But to be honest, watching the injury, I thought his whole season might be over. So for him to come back and be back for the Lightning is huge. I mean, I think this is the reason they went out and gave up the amount of picks that they did to get this guy was for the playoffs. And the Lightning have a lot of skill, obviously, but they like to play physical in the playoffs and try to be, the team that, is the bully a little bit, I guess, for lack of a better term. So he's going to be a big add for them in terms of physicality. I think that's also big with Jeannot being out, with the injury. He's a really big physical guy too. So it looks like he's going to play. I mean, they haven't come out and said, yes, he's in the lineup, but all signs are pointing that way. And I mean, good for him. It's the best time of the year. And, you hate to see a guy get injured right before the playoffs start. So I'm really surprised that he's able to play, but he looked good when he skated in practice. He's looked good the past few days. And like I said, he was really starting to find his game for the Lightning. And I think pick up on some of their systems and get more comfortable. So jumping right back into playoff hockey, I'm sure it won't be easy, but, there's other guys doing that as well. So excited to see him play, excited to see what he can bring.
Mikhail Sergachev was talking about the next man up mentality. And I saw you tweeted out that you've been really impressed with his performance on the ice, of course, but also off the ice. Can you just explain how he's grown to become one of the integral parts of this Tampa Bay locker room over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, he's really impressive. There's certain guys, when you have a loss, there's certain guys I think the PR department can count on to put in front of the camera and talk to the media and say the right things. And he's been one of them. And this is a guy that's only 24 years old. He's played a ton of playoff hockey for someone that young, but he always says the right things. I mean, you saw that quote I put out, like it's just confidence in his teammates and the coaching staff. And it's never, we're going to go out there and try to do this. Hopefully we can do it. It's always, we're going to go out there and do this. So I've just been really impressed with his growth all year. Like I said, he spoke after the Pittsburgh game in Pittsburgh when the Lightning got smoked. And he was really good. I mean, that's a tough loss, and it's never easy to face the media after those tough losses. You guys know better than anyone here in Toronto how hard that is. So it's he's just really impressive for a guy that's only 24 years old. And the Lightning obviously gave him that big 8-year extension in the offseason. It kicks in next year. And I think a lot of people thought it was a really high price, but I think, by the second end of that contract, if not sooner, I think it's going to look like a steal, and people are going to be really happy. If you're a Lightning fan, he has all the tools physically. He's a great skater. And something else that's really impressed me on the mental side is he wants to be the best. I mean, going into this year, Victor Hedman was the clear-cut number one guy. He was on the top power play unit, and before even I think the halfway point of the season, Sergei was on the top power play, and he's been on it ever since. And he really is driven. He's a driven guy. He wants to be the best defenseman in the NHL. He said it over and over. So just really impressed with his work ethic. And like I said, I mean, there's certain guys that they don't necessarily like talking after losses or facing the media. And I've had nothing but pleasant interactions with him. And I think for a guy that's 24 years old, it's really impressive.
Now, Jon Cooper, speak of knowing what the right things to say is, I think he's one of the best quotes, one of the best people to talk to, just one of the best hockey people in the business. How does he get this team to, like you mentioned earlier, flip that switch where this team, we've been told, go up to the playoffs, is not the same Tampa Bay team, but game one, that first period, that you saw that flip was switched, and the Tampa Bay Lightning were the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just how does Jon Cooper motivate this team and get this team ready to perform every single April?
I'd love to know. I think every coach would like to know. I mean, this is a guy that, never played pro hockey and was an attorney and just made his way up through the coaching ranks, coached USHL, AHL, and obviously now the NHL, and he's won everywhere he's coached. He is a very interesting guy in terms of listening to him talk in the media, particularly this time of the year in the playoffs. Everything that guy says feels like it's calculated. It feels like he comes to the podium and he knows what he wants to say, and he has a reason for saying the things he does. But in terms of the players, I mean, everyone loves playing for him. I mean, it's easy when you're making the playoffs every year and winning a lot of games, right? He has that in his back pocket. They have a lot of really good players, but I just think the ability to get these guys motivated year after year, like you said, it's been really impressive, and their ability to turn the page after tough losses, but also after big wins too. That's why I'm interested to see tonight. I think in the playoffs, it's just as important to turn that page after a win as it is a loss. You need to just forget the last game, regardless of what happened. Like the Lightning won big last game, but that doesn't mean they can go into this game and take the Maple Leafs easy. They can't rest on their laurels. And he's just been really good at motivating his team and finding the right buttons to push and everything like that. So I really enjoy covering the team. And a big part of that is him. I mean, he's just a really smart guy, very well-spoken, and a really good guy too. He's a very nice guy, a great hockey mind. And in my opinion, I mean, this guy, if he keeps going the way he's going, he's going to go down as one of the best coaches to ever do it. So, I mean, if he wins tonight, he's going to tie Ken Hitchcock for 10th most playoff wins in NHL history already. So he's a great coach. And like I said, just a great hockey mind. And it's kind of cool. Like you don't see too many guys, head coaches have a lot of success in the NHL that, really weren't involved in the NHL at all beforehand, whether as a player or an assistant coach or something like that. So, just a really great coach, a great guy to cover and to get to know. He's a really good guy.
We're speaking with Chris Krenn. Chris, I get the sense that Tampa Bay, like these Lightning players, enjoy playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're really close to the team. Do you feel that way?
For sure. I mean, how could you not, right? It's a lot of fun. Like I said, the environment is really good here. There's obviously a lot of guys from the area, like Darren Radish, the defenseman. I know he had some family in the crowd the other night. Stamkos, obviously, there's the connection there. He's always played really well against the Maple Leafs. But it's a big stage. It's like last year in the playoffs, a lot of guys were excited to play this team. And I think it's kind of similar to New York in the States. Like it's a really big stage to play on, and all eyes are on you at MSG, and I think it's the same way here in Toronto. Like hockey's huge here, like I mentioned when we first came on, and there's a lot of Ontario connections obviously throughout the NHL, but on this team as well. And I mean, Toronto's just a really, really strong hockey team, and when you're looking at them for since when, December maybe, if not earlier, like you're going to play them, and there's some excitement. I think just that whole build up of the whole year, I think it's all leading up to this. And I mean, like I said before, it's just a really, really great place to watch a game, and the crowd and everything like that. So it's I'm sure the guys like playing here.
Quickly, Chris, Eric Chernak, he's out. How big of a loss is that?
It's really big, particularly on the penalty kill. I mean, this is a guy that he's really good at killing penalties. Big guy in front of the net and kind of force guys to, get out of Vasilevsky's kitchen there. And I think that's one way, basically every team tries to beat the Lightning is getting guys in front of Vasilevsky, because if he sees the puck, there's a really good chance he's going to stop it. So it hurts having him out. I think he's an underrated guy that doesn't get talked about too much, particularly like last year, the few years with Ryan McDonagh. He had Jeannot next to him the whole way, and McDonagh was a huge part of this team, but Jeannot was a big part of that pair too. I mean, that's their shutdown pair. He's been a shutdown guy this year. And that injury obviously didn't look good. I just hope, I said this earlier, I hope for his sake, like these injuries, just take your time, and I hope they don't rush him back just because it's the playoffs. I hope he doesn't rush back because it's the playoffs. It's not like a lower body injury where you can play through some pain. I think that's a head injury. It obviously looks like, and those are things that can affect you, well after you're retired as well. So I hope that he can get good and come back to the lineup when he's ready. But they're going to miss him on the back end for sure. And they've had some issues. Well, I wouldn't say issues, but I think the right side of their defense has, they've had some new guys come in and step up for them. And it was a question mark going into the season. And there's a lot of young and experienced players on that right side. So they're going to miss him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we wish him nothing but the best. Should be a great game tonight, Chris. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, guys.